This is a trigger warning that this episode deals with narrative elements of sexual abuse, so if you're sensitive to that topic, please be aware of that going in. I still really like the idea of naming this episode Gay Home.
God damn
Does it count as spoiling?
The house does seem a bit homo, to see in the least. Hey guys, welcome to Press F to Discuss, where we play video games and discuss them for entirely way too long. I'm Lollie, and I am your new overlord. I'm here to stay.
No, it's my turn to introduce myself. I'm Matthew.
I'm Jared, and I'm really bad at managing the introduction order of our podcast.
Silence! This is my podcast now.
Completely botched it.
Anyway.
So what are we playing today, Jared, or discussing today?
Alright, now you're just like throwing a wrench in my... I resent this. Okay. Today...
I'm just gonna sit back on my throne as the subjects tear themselves asunder.
The throne in question here is a shitty IKEA chair. Don't be
Listen,
fooled.
I have a beanbag chair behind me.
Yeah.
I got my... Wait, I have my dog pillow over there.
I think that... Alright. Anyway. Today, we're talking about Gone Home, a 2013 walking simulator by Fulbright, with music by Chris Remo, which I just want to mention because the music
It's so good.
is hella good.
And you can find it on Spotify.
Oh, you can?
I think I just got it through the Humble Bundle, but...
Anyway, Matt, why don't you tell us what you thought about Gone Home?
More like Gay Home.
Oh my god.
But
I said we shouldn't use this.
I
I'm so filled with rage over this development.
love Gone Home. It's like probably one of my favorite games. Which immediately...
Games.
I know. It immediately damages my cred, but...
Your cred.
Yeah, my gamer score.
Yeah, he has never liked a single game ever, and surprise, he found one that he likes.
And it's a walking simulator. No, but it probably is one of like the peak examples of a game that actually needs to be a game. I truly feel that there's no way to experience Gone Home, and I know people like to like watch it on YouTube instead of paying money for playing it themselves, but like there's like no way to experience it without like going in the house and feeling its space and like hearing the music as you're kind of going along it at your own pace. Like it's linear, but like semi-open approach.
I know. I completely did not. The first time I played it, not linear whatsoever.
Yeah, you probably didn't even find any journals. You just like...
I know. I actually did go back and like downloaded like a video to listen to all of them on my way here. I'm like, what the fuck? I did listen to all of these.
Oh, did you?
Yeah.
Did you even find the cat one?
The cat one.
Yeah, it's an Easter egg.
Where is that?
It's so if you go into the garage and look up, there's a basketball on like.
Oh, I was thinking I just saw the main story ones.
Oh yeah, yeah. This is canon. There's a basketball like on a foundational like support, and you can like throw a can at it to knock it down, and then you bring it up to the bedroom, and there's a basketball hoop on the back of the door.
What?
I do remember reading about
this.
Yeah,
and if you throw it in the hoop. The lights go out and the TV starts playing pictures of cats, and it's just Sam saying a journal, but like just saying meow. It's great.
I'm really, really upset that I did not experience this, but I'm terrible at basketball in real life and in walking simulators.
Okay, so we should probably clarify for like people who haven't played it though, like. We're gonna spoil this, and it's a great game, so you should like play it.
Yeah, and I mean, honestly, the reality of the situation is, even if my great Gay Home joke didn't tip you off, you probably know what's going on in Gone Home by this point.
Yeah.
And when it first came out, there was
be gays.
Yeah, there was some controversy because people are like, we were expecting like a horror game, but like I thought it telegraphed kind of obviously, but
I also meant just like mechanically how it functions.
Oh, okay.
So this is. The primary like loop of the game is you explore parts of a house. So there's lots of like great environmental storytelling, and like we'll get back to it, but this is like this is good environmental storytelling.
Yeah, and that's what I was saying. Like, it's a game that you actually, I truly feel needs to be a game. And people dispute that it even is a game.
Yeah.
But I think there's no other way to experience Gone Home than to play it as an interactive, immersive experience.
Sure. But then in addition to finding like these environment details, you also so the story is that you have just come home from a year abroad to your family's new house. They moved while you were gone, but you come home and everyone's missing. So you have to explore the house to find out what happened, and you explore and you find stuff. But also some objects trigger a voiceover of your character's sister, Sam, talking about her experiences while you're gone. Gone home, but you're not gone home because you're anyway.
More like gay home.
No, cut that. Just cut it.
It's gonna work one of these days.
So done already. Yeah, and that's pretty much it. But it's really, really good at that.
Yeah, I mean, there's like extremely light. There's like a single puzzle.
It's probably the game that made me realize, like, holy shit, I want to go into like video game development.
Yeah.
Like, this is the kind of way that I want to tell a story. If I recall correctly, this is the game that like caused the term walking simulator to be a thing.
Yeah.
As well
yeah,
as
I mean, Dear Esther might
I
have...
mean, this and Dear Esther came out around the same time.
Did they?
I think.
But I think Gone Home stirred up the controversy.
Yeah, I mean...
for like whether or not it's considered a game.
Right.
Well, yeah.
The whole games as art.
It's definitely
movement, or
it's
whatever
definitely
you
when
wanna
people
call it.
talk about walking simulators, you're gonna hear like Stanley Parable, Gone Home, and Dear Esther, and those will be like the three that.
Yeah. I mean, there was that whole GIF going around for a while of like how you can beat the game in like 30 seconds.
Which the developers love.
Yeah, and it's like, fuck
I actually
off.
did it. I thought I
Were you able to
didn't,
do it?
but then when I went to replay the game last week
Yeah.
to cram it in before allegedly recording, I realized I do in fact have the trophy.
Yeah,
that I
there
beat
you
it
go.
in under 59 seconds.
Yeah.
But I do want to say that I feel like it was a survival horror in the fact that it was the horror of being a teenage girl coming out gay to her parents.
Yes, there are
It's its own survival horror of its
a lot
own.
of weighty aspects to the story that I think. So it's also of note that this was set in 1995, I want to say. So that
Yes.
and like the power is like on and off at your house. So like obviously there's no cell phones. Communication is just so much different. But like it's really actually important to the atmosphere of the game. Like just the music being like Riot Girl, so like mid 90s
Yeah, it's very punk.
Seattle punk.
It's weird. It's like a simultaneously very punk and very like quiet. Like
Yeah.
which is like a weird.
In the commentary, Chris Remo has a couple bits where he talks about making the music, and he talks about how at first, when we're first focusing on Sam, it's more organic almost. It's more of like a melody, a piano, and then as Lonnie comes into her life and becomes more of a focus, and all of that drums up, then it starts becoming more of like a guitar. There's a bit more punk to it.
Huh. That's
So
interesting.
the music transitions as Sam's life, progresses through the journals.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, and the commentary is great.
Oh yeah, I played it. I didn't play it through with commentary for this, but I have played it with commentary before.
And it's just so insightful.
Yeah.
Gotta say, I lost my shit when I was playing like the first 5 minutes. I'm like walking around and I see this little light bulb behind a cabinet.
Yeah.
And it's a birthday card. It's like, happy birthday, love Uncle Harvey. They like either tweeted or texted Harvey Smith from Deus Ex and Dishonored. And I was like, hey, can you do me a favor? Can you write happy birthday,
yeah, that's
love
right.
Uncle Harvey, and send it to us? And he did. He texted them back almost immediately. He just wrote it down,
Yeah.
took a picture with their cell phone, and they scanned it and put it in the game. And that was kind of their little
That's great.
nod.
It's, I mean, so Steve Gaynor, and I think maybe one other person from the team had previously worked on Minerva's Den. Or it might have just
the
been Steve.
Bioshock 2 DLC for those unaware.
Right.
Yeah, I think
Which I have
I
not
can't
played.
remember her name. I think she did because they talked about the mascot on the back of the jersey. But what was the guy's name?
Steve Gaynor.
Yeah, Steve Gaynor. I think he was talking about how he worked on Dishonored as well as Bioshock.
Uh-huh.
And then
Wait, he was on Dishonored?
apparently, when you go into Terrence's father's office, when you open up the drawers, there's a commentary thing, and he talks about how the code 0451 has been pretty much the standard first code in a game. In
Yeah,
like,
it's Deus Ex started
Dishonored.
there.
Oh yeah. I remember that.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of like little nods to other games that have very heavy environmental storytelling.
Which is why, like, when people say it's not a game, and like whether or not that's true, like it's still incredible the amount of skill in like designing the levels, or levels so to speak, designing the house, and using music cues and environmental storytelling that they bring to this. Like traditional, like top of the line. This is what you want a game to be good at.
Yeah, like excellent, intelligent level design, and also it feels like a house that people live in.
Yeah.
Another commentary thing. They were like very, very into making it seem very lived in, and then they came to the shoes.
Oh yeah. There's like a whole thing about how like
yeah.
their walk-in closet doesn't have any shoes.
Yeah.
But they know that. Like,
But they said that they made it like a purposeful thing, hoping that people would not notice, because they like mom needs her working boots, dad needs like however many pairs, like Sam's a teenage girl, how many pairs of shoes? The house would just be like shoes fucking everywhere.
Yeah, but I mean, other than the shoes, there's like a ton of incidental and objects in it. I mean, every light has like a plug associated.
oh
with
yeah,
it.
I was gonna bring that up. Like that is the amount of care that goes into this environment. It was someone's job to make sure every appliance plugged into a socket in the wall.
Yeah.
It wasn't even like it was his job, it was his passion. It's another commentary thing.
Yeah.
Also, you guys won't really appreciate this, but I know I appreciated opening up the cabinet in the bathroom and there being a box of tampons there.
Yeah, and there's like
just hey, yeah, no, she
toilet
would
paper
totally have
and
it.
tissues.
You can find your parents' condoms.
Yeah. I mean, look, I wasn't gonna go there,
Which-
Jared, but
I mean, I guess I want to use this to transition to, I really like how there's narratives going on behind the scenes, not necessarily anything Sam or Katie is going to, mention.
Yeah.
Like you say, you find their condoms. You find a book about, repairing their relationship. You find out that their anniversary trip is actually a couples retreat because they're trying to, rekindle their romance and fix their marriage.
And the mom has a thing going on with an attractive coworker. But like in an ordinary game, like in an average game, you would just get this through like a series of like audio logs and notes, and that is to some degree how Gone Home does it. But Gone Home also does like all sorts of clever things with just how the house is designed and where objects are. Like one thing I think is great, in your parents' room you can find their Bible, and it's in their bedside stand, and like within easy reach. But then when you go into Lonnie's room and you dig around, her Bible is hidden in her closet in the very back.
yeah.
Yeah,
and
she discussed this in the commentary.
Oh, they did.
Yeah, there's a reason why.
the commentary is just gonna be like what you should listen to instead of
Yeah,
our
don't
podcast.
listen to this. Just throw this out.
Yeah, no, but like he talks about like there's like a Lisa Frank-esque picture of like a
Oh,
unicorn
God, yeah,
or a
that's
cat
right.
or something.
That portfolio.
Yeah, and it's like just boxed away in her closet, and you lift it up, and there's a Bible, and it's him and the other woman. God bless her heart, I can't remember her name, but they talk about their own experiences with religion and how they interpreted Sam and her relationship with God or whatever, where she's not really sure where she fits with that, and in a way she's kind of packing up her beliefs along with her childhood Lisa Frank paintings.
Yeah, and I mean, and so that's why when people talk about this game, usually critically to say like, oh, it's basically like a 2-hour like your sister is gay, and then that's it. Like it's so much more like well crafted than that.
If you give a shit enough to like pay attention to all of the hard work and the labor that the developers put into it, it is so much more than just, oh hey, my sister's gay.
Right. And I mean, and people will say like, I mean, replay value in a game is a troubled concept in and of itself. But like people will say like they played it or even just watched it on YouTube and then like they're done with it. But like this is legitimately a game that I've played now 3 or 4 times, and it's just like reading like a really well written story. It's you can like just appreciate the craft of it.
Yeah, I was so when we had to replay this for the podcast because I hadn't played it in I don't know more than a year, and I was like, I've been in the middle of Hollow Knight, which I've been really enjoying, so I was like having to set that aside to play this game, and I'm like, oh man, like I played this game a lot. Maybe I can just get by on it. I'm like, no, you have to play it. So I like boot it up, and then 2 minutes in, I'm already like, man, this was a good decision. Like,
Yeah.
I'm glad. Like you get in, and it's immediately like the coziest thing. Like, it's so like warm and kind from like the get go. It's amazing.
When you say warm and kind, do you mean like how the game values you as a player, or like values
No,
Katie as?
I think how it values every member of the family.
Okay.
Like, every element of everyone's story is told with the utmost empathy for all people involved. Like, the parents to some degree become antagonistic forces when they won't accept that Katie is gay.
Nope, Sam.
God, when Sam is gay, but they like have rich interior lives that there's such empathy for. Like, at some point, I'm gonna dig into like Terrence has like an obvious story and then like a sub story that is like secret, and you have to really like look for it, and it is told with such like respect for the stuff he's going through, and like how he's living his life,
and not reducing it to that story.
Yeah,
Right.
I mean,
It's influenced who he is as a person, but it's not.
it's not his one thing.
Exactly.
He's
it's,
not
it's,
just.
it's not his personality.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a sucker for anything queer in storytelling, but I think Terrence's storyline might actually like be my favorite of the game, just because of how like
Subtle.
Yeah.
and well.
Do we want to dig into that now, or?
Yeah, I mean, I guess we can start. I mean, do we?
I mean,
Are there other? I guess. What are the storyline threads that we do want to hit upon?
Right.
We want to talk about Terrence. Do we?
Well, so there's a couple things, right? So there's the obvious one with Sam and her coming out. That's like
Right.
the core of the game. There's like the stuff with both of the parents, and like specifically the mom getting an attractive new coworker, and like that putting some strain on their marriage and stuff like that, and how they handle that. There's Terrence struggling as a writer, and like how recently he's been struggling to find the right words for his appliance reviews, and how his book didn't sell and things like that. And then there's also like kind of a narrative with like Katie sending home postcards. Like, you can track her journey
Right.
through postcards, which is genius, by the way. Like the fact that
It's the audio log system or the note system that like makes sense.
right, and also it's like so much of Katie's personality is present through like some of the text that shows up on various objects, like that tells its own story. Like the fact that you can find basically erotica that your sister has written, or like makeout strategies and stuff like that.
If I remember correctly, it was her and Lonnie's first time.
Yes, and but you can find it, but you can't read the whole thing because your character will put down the note, and then when you try and pick it up, like the mouse over text says, "No, I'm not reading any more of that."
Right.
No, I really love that kind of differentiation, that you are not the character.
Sure.
You're viewing all of this, through her eyes, but she's her own person.
Right.
Yeah,
and
and she
you
like
experience
narrates on like she narrates on certain things. I wish I could remember more examples, but there's like certain clever things that
Well, I mean, even like to go back to the condom example, like the fact that it wasn't just like condom.
it's
like,
just like ew.
yeah,
gross.
it's just like ew, gross. Or like when she finds her dad's like Playboy magazines, and she's like ew, gross, and then she finds that Sam has like the same magazines.
Yeah.
And she just responds to these things.
It's like, geez, Sam, or something like that.
She responds to these things as an older sister who's finding out like dirty facts about her sister that they're private, they're intimate, and you feel that both as a player and as Katie.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well, first, I just want to say something that's like, coming to my realization as we're talking about it is that, yes, the core of the story is Sam and Lonnie's relationship, but really it is all about all of the tiny little things. I think the only reason why the audio logs are such a big part and such a necessary part is so that you don't feel alone in this giant empty house with a voiceless character.
And those audio logs are so good.
Yeah.
Like,
They're very well recorded.
Sam's voice actress just kills it. Like,
Yeah.
she's so good at it.
Yeah, and I mean, it's funny because this is a game that very much is rooted in teen angst, And that's something that can become grating very quick. And I think for some players, that's part of what it was. Is that I think you get to a point sometimes where that doesn't work for you anymore.
Sure.
Or for some people. But just the amount of emoting that she brought to it, that it wasn't just like, like a 12-year-old's journal is like, I hate mom.
Yeah.
They actually did work a bit to make it less angsty. Like originally, Lonnie's parents were supposed to be more conservative than Sam's, and she was supposed to be shipped off to Florida. The note that we were talking about earlier,
Sure,
that was
yeah.
what the note was originally going to be. But then they're like, no, this is like too cliche. We don't want this garbage in our game.
Yeah.
But-
So then she joined the military.
Yeah. But I like it also because, yes, it has that teen angst, but like we've all been teenagers, we've all been angsty.
Well, speak for yourself.
Yeah. Listen, I'm 23 years old, still full of angst. But still, in the end, it's hopeful. Like the survival horror of it. Playing this game is like, at what point am I going to find Sam's dead body?
Yeah,
hanging from the rafters?
it definitely
Oh,
gets
God.
hinted towards the end when she's like,
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go up to the attic. I'm like, oh boy.
Yeah, no, the attic, like just.
Yeah, and that's what you were saying, Chad, about like the empathy for the characters is that they had the knowledge of when to hold back and say like yeah, maybe like people this conservative exists, but are they going to be effective vessels for the story?
Yeah.
Of
Sure.
like why Lonnie needs to go.
Right. But anyway, to pull it back in, we need to mention the final story, which is the story. Yeah, the reason we're here is that of Oscar, the owner of the house before the current family.
The Psycho House.
Yeah.
On
Yeah,
Arbor
so
Hill.
the house is almost in some ways its own character.
Which feels like a cliche thing to say, but it's so true.
Yeah, I mean, it really, not just in the sense that like the house, you feel it constantly like moving underneath you and like
Everything's
creaks.
randomized, like all of like the thunder.
the thunder, and but also just in the sense that the house itself is like a pivotal thing for
It has
Sam
history
and
and
Lonnie.
character.
Yeah,
It feels lived in, especially like notably for me. Well, there's actually two locations. The living room, where like they have like you have
All
to
the
walk,
VHS.
all the VHSs. Like,
Yeah.
and if you go, you can like tell which ones are Lonnie's and which ones are Terrence's. Just the pizza boxes everywhere. Sam, why the fuck did you leave the TV on in your room and in the living room if you're just gonna up and leave? But just all of it like just feels very lived in. The kitchen is like mid renovations. Like there's just pieces of the house like everywhere.
Yeah.
and so for Oscar is it Terrence's uncle?
Yes.
And so I don't know if you want to talk about the story. If I should just kind of give the broad strokes of it, but
If you want to do it, it's fine.
basically, we have some knowledge that like something happened in this house that made it become culturally in the town the Psycho House. So much so that like kids from Sam's class identify it as such.
Yeah.
And so we kind of going in, your assumption is that it's just part of playing into like the horror of it. And even Sam and Lonnie kind of play into that as well, having like
The Ouija boards
yeah,
everywhere.
Ouija boards and such. But
the
basically,
photo of Oscar on like the pentagram
yeah,
summoning circle.
and like the crucifixes in the under the stairs, and
That's the one scripted event in the entire
Oh,
game
yeah,
is when
the-
you look at the crucifix and the light pops.
oh god, that was such a good jump. But anyway, and so what we know, kind of going in surface level, what people generally understand about the house is that Oscar lived in it, and at some point he gave it to Terrence for their family to live in. Something kind of unclear happened in it that made it the Psycho House. And then you can kind of go several layers deeper, and there's like a point where you realize like something that Oscar did was
Yeah.
what.
You can find a safe in the basement, and this is like great like vibe or like tone storytelling. The fact that this safe is like right next to the room with a toy horse where the light doesn't turn on. Like that's so good. But you find the safe. Well, first you can find like Oscar's obituary where he leaves everything to Terrence. But then you open the safe and you find, amidst like morphine syringes and stuff like that, a letter from Oscar begging his sister, Terrence's mother, for forgiveness and like redemption of some kind. And like,
at this point, your assumption being that it's like a drug abuse problem, knowing that he worked in like a pharmacy, right?
He
Yeah.
owned it, I think.
Yeah.
yeah, but then you find stuff like the fact that the safe opens to the year 1963, which is the last year that Terrence's height is measured on the nearby like height measuring thing.
Literally just turned 180 degrees. There it is.
Yeah, and 2, it's the year that Terrence's books take place in, where a man travels back in time to fix something bad that happened. And 3, you can find letters from Terrence's father, which call his book cliche, but also like compliment him on using his books to work through personal issues.
Yeah, and also 63 is the year that whatever happened,
Yeah,
like what caused Oscar's fall from grace, because he was like a beloved like figure before this.
right. And then he sells his
Pharmacy.
pharmacy for cheap, and then like leaves.
To try to basically, like, he knows he can't seek redemption, so he just kind of...
Yeah, and then you figure out that like Terrence was like abused in some way by Oscar, and
Is
like
it ever explicitly stated, or is it just one of those things where it's like, oh,
Yeah,
shit.
it's one of those things where it kind of all clicks together, but like...
I don't think it can be anything else.
Yeah,
Wait,
no, the
wait, no,
devs have
obviously.
confirmed that
they have,
that's...
really?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Well, no, just with you talking about it, it kind of sounded
Yeah.
like you find this.
Yeah, no,
out,
there's
but
and that's part of like what's genius about it is like, of course, Terrence isn't gonna keep like, you know, any kind of memorabilia that points to this specific, you know, abuse occurring.
Right.
It's all just like pieces of him that are a little bit innocuous, but also a little bit pointed,
Right.
so that you kind of, you know, these are just pieces of his history.
And there's an excellent article on this called "You Can Do Better."
Yeah.
I can't remember. It's Clockwork something or other. The website
Hold
that's
on,
hosted
I
on.
have it curled up on my phone. I believe.
Yeah, that was
Oh.
what the devs read and confirmed as basically being like, this is what.
No,
we
I
meant
just
by
have the
this.
Captain Crunch post.
But just Google for like "You Can Do Better" Gone Home, and you'll find the article, and it's really excellent and like digs into this even deeper. But like, the point is just like that's like incredible storytelling in the sense of like it's just there. Like, it doesn't demand that you find it. Like,
Plenty of people probably have not found it.
yeah,
Even
like
know
if you
I
find
didn't.
it, you might not like put it together.
yeah, and that's like amazing that they would put that much work in for like a thing that like most players will just miss. But again, like the amount of kindness for Terrence's struggle is like absurd.
Yeah, and how it's interwoven into all other parts of his character, like you can do better being one of the phrases that he really like harps upon when he's struggling to fix his writing. You come across like a cork board with those notes, and you can do better specifically is like one of the things that his dad says to him in a letter criticizing his work as being cliche.
Yeah.
And you know, tying back to what we were saying about like how it's all about, his books are all about this guy that goes back, I think it's to stop like JFK's assassination
Yeah.
or whatever.
Yeah.
In the year 1963, there's like all of these ideas of struggling to find redemption. I mean, obviously not that Terrence has something that he needs to be redeemed for, but seeing like redemption from his own kind of weight of his abuse.
Sure.
Now that I'm thinking about the first time I played it, the room where the light won't turn on. I've been thinking like, God, that's so like a creepy little touch. Like, it just won't
Yeah.
go on. Like, no one has changed that light bulb since 1963 at the very least. And
Yeah.
I just remember the first time playing that game, I walked into the room, accidentally closed the door behind me, and I could not find my
yeah.
way out of that room for like 45 minutes. I just had to put the game down for a little bit, come back, and be like, where the fuck is the door?
Yeah.
And now it just has a way worse connotation to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I mean, all of that like realism and how the game doesn't, besides the single jump scare, which even that you could attribute to just like you're pulling the string on a light and it's just old or whatever. Like, the game exists squarely in a realistic frame.
Yeah.
It's only through your own preconceptions about what kind of game it is and kind of the goofy teenageness that Sam and Lonnie bring to it with their hope of like contacting the dead. That we bring all these other kind of spiritual elements into it of something fantastical.
I mean, not even spiritual, but just
Well, yeah,
like
I mean, just non-physical, I guess.
yeah, like you know,
Abstract.
yeah, the ghost of like the effective ghost of Oscar haunting Terrence, and he can't like. Again, this is like great subtle crap, but like the moment, or there's a letter where you can find where basically Terrence's reviews have been getting increasingly like
He started writing reviews for tech to like make money, basically.
yeah, but since he moved back to this house, his reviews have been getting increasingly like reflective and personal instead of like just regular reviews.
Right.
And like he's struggling with it. Like he's struggling being back here and not knowing how to handle it. And like that, like the amount of kindness in that, like the
Towards a character that we had previously described as being sort of an antagonistic force.
right, yeah, like in the end, Sam decides that she has to leave because her parents have refused to accept the way she is. But still, like
But still there are these storylines that will continue all in their own way, and like they're all kind of ending on a hopeful note.
right, yeah.
Which I think is like that's another thing I know some people kind of criticize it for, was the fact that like it ends, the way the game ends is you find out that Lonnie was originally going to be going to army training, and this was during the time of Don't Ask, Don't Tell, so she would have had to, been quiet about any kind of lesbian relationship. She would have been separated from Sam. Sam would like have just come out kind of for nothing, in the sense that she basically is validating her parents' suspicion that this is all a phase.
Yeah.
And ultimately what happens is that Lonnie backs out of army training and she and Sam run away. And people were like, well, that's, that's either not even necessarily too hopeful, but like, that's like dangerous.
It's really gay and sappy.
Yeah, well, gay and sappy, and then also like kind of dangerous. Like, yeah, these kids
Yeah.
just like ripped all the expensive stuff out of their house and ran away together. And it's like, but that's like kind of the point. Like, it's supposed to be idealistic. It's supposed to have a little bit of that punk mentality.
And you don't find out. It's kind of left to your imagination.
Right.
How far did they make it? Did they make it far at all before
Right.
being dragged back, or do they get to live their life the way they want to?
Yeah, and I mean, on a similar note, like, does Terrence ever really, like, is he able to come to peace with, like, his experiences? Does his career pick back up? Does his marriage with...
Well, that's the great thing, right? Like, I love that they care so much about his career, because you can find the note that's like the weird like cult hit publishing house finds finds his books and starts publishing them, and you can find a manuscript for his new book where he's like traveling back in time to save himself,
Right.
And it's not clear if that's going to be published, but like
It's a cathartic thing for him, nonetheless.
there is like hope that he could do better, like
Yeah.
that's it, right?
And it doesn't, and that's why I think I hate optimistic endings. Jared will attest to that. But in something like this, where it's left like hopeful but highly ambiguous, where it's not, there's no guarantee that everything is gonna be okay, but
It is what you make of it.
yeah, you can just kind of hope
You
that
can have
it'll
your
be
sad,
okay.
miserable
Right.
ending, Matt, while
Hey, look. I'm just saying, I'll leave
Jared,
it.
they're
to
living in
ambiguity.
their gay paradise. Like, everyone has the best ending.
Everybody gets what they want.
Everyone has the good ending.
Yeah.
I don't know, something that I kind of want to talk about myself. I know that I resonated very much with Sam.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's really weird not playing a middle-aged, gruff man.
Yeah.
So there's just like some things about her life that like I just really resonated with, like the tampons in the bathroom. But there's this.
Yeah, I mean, Nathan Drake does not frequently
No,
find those in his inventory.
No, even though you would think maybe he would have one for Elena just in case. But
Or like
no.
to stop like a bullet wound or something.
Yeah,
Shove a tampon
All
right up in
right,
there.
all right, dial it back a bit.
Okay. But there's this one journal entry. It's called Default Friends, and like it's another like little side
God, I
story
forgot about it. It's so good.
that that Sam talks about is back in their childhood home. she had this neighbor named Daniel, and they were really close. But as they grew up, and especially after moving, they just became two different people.
Yeah.
At one point, they reunite when Sam tries to steal his Super Nintendo games, borrow them, and just never give them back.
She's returning them, isn't she? Isn't that
after she takes them?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, like she's like, oh, maybe I should hit him up, and then later, like, there's a note from Daniel's mom to Sam's mom, like, hey, Daniel wants his Super Nintendo games back.
Yeah.
But I really jived with that because when I was growing up in the 90s, there was this kid next door who we were literally inseparable. I don't remember meeting him. That's just our mothers were pregnant together, and just we were, through thick and thin, whatever. Everyone thought we were gonna get married one day, and then junior high comes along, and we're not in classes together. After I transferred to a school, we're just drifting further and further apart. We still see each other because we're neighbors, but our friend groups just,
sure,
even though they're so close, are not. So just reliving that through Sam really hit a note with me, because eventually, I just never spoke to the guy again.
Sure.
Yeah, and I mean, even that aside, like, that is, like, super relatable. I know it's something I've, like, experienced with people, and I imagine, like, a lot of people have, but, like, the way that Daniel acts as, like, a catalyst for Sam reflecting on the safe life that she doesn't kind of resonate with versus, like, the life that she actually wants, which is a lot more, unfortunately,
gay.
Private, gay, punk. Yeah, it's such a great transition moment for her to be able to, like, reflect not just on the fact that she's no longer friends with Daniel, but, like, the fact that she feels guilty for that. Like, it's something that she has to, like, she's obliged to fulfill this other vision of her.
And in turn, that's kind of my relationship with this guy.
Right.
Is that he came from definitely a way more conservative family. He has a more conservative viewpoint, whereas I was always, I was the weird one.
Yeah, the psycho house girl.
Yeah, I was psycho house girl.
Yeah, and it's just that level of care that goes into every note that you find. This isn't, like, I remember I've read about, like, game development where, like, writers will just be like, okay, we need 500 pieces of lore, and, like, here are the items that you're going to write the lore for. This is, like, flip that over, and, like, you still have a lot, I don't know how many items are in the game that you can interact with, but there's so much.
Like, brief aside, like, I cannot fucking wait for Tacoma. Like,
oh, yeah. Tacoma's going to be, well, hopefully it'll be great.
Yeah,
I assume it'll be great.
Well, Tacoma's going to have, like, a huge full cast, and if, like, that game has the same amount of care in its world as Gone Home does in this house, like,
yeah.
I'm there. I'm there for it.
One stupid little thing that made me, like, laugh really hard is when you're going up the stairs and, like, there's a cork board outside of Sam's room, and you look at it and there's a note. Sam, stop leaving all the lights on. You're just as bad as your sister. That's so good. And I was just cracking up because, like, yes, I was, like, putting stuff back as I was picking it up. A mechanic that they made just because players, when playtesting, didn't want to feel like fucking heathens and just throw everything about. But, like, I was not turning the lights out as I was going. I never have.
Yeah.
You play as Link and Zelda, reading everyone's diaries, smashing all of their belongings, and stealing their money. No one questions anything, but, like, God, Sam, just as bad as your sister.
Yeah, and it lampshades, like, as with the example of, like, Katie refusing to read her sister's, like, sex note. Like,
lampshade,
oh yeah, lampshade with plugs in it. It lampshades that idea that, like, this is a physical space that you're inhabiting and not just a video game kind of trope world.
Yeah, it feels almost like voyeuristic, like, because it feels like some place that someone could live, and so it almost feels like you're invading that.
Right.
By, like, tromping around and looking through stuff.
It almost feels like that until you are playing as Katie and the little bits of her personality do shine through in her interactions with the note, with the condoms, with, like, all the little, like, things, because yes, to the player it seems very voyeuristic, but to the character we're playing, this is her new home. This is her first time being here. So in a way, it is invasive, but at the same time, she's just as welcome as the people who are no longer there.
Right.
Sure, yeah.
I guess the condoms really were kind of integral to the story after all.
I mean, there's
Environmental storytelling.
there's other really good ones.
That's
that,
just
like,
one that stuck out to us, I guess, because we're pervs.
There's a book in the library, like how to deal with your teen,
Oh yeah.
your rebellious teenager.
Oh man.
But like specifically, there's a bunch of like Sam. God, frick-a-frack.
Are you all right there?
Katie's narration. And there's like a bunch that are just like really informative about like who she is. I mean, I guess the postcards too.
Yeah, or like the sex ed assignment where you see like Katie's very like she answers. It's I don't remember what the question is, but it's like probably like what's the
it's
function
like describing the
describe
sperm
like
traveling to the egg.
And like Katie answers it like by the book. You know, she does it right. She gets a good grade, and that's that. And then Sam writes like a fictional novel about like this aggressive sperm or something.
Well, no. It's a story about if you look, there's a history book where they're learning about World War II. It's a spy in World War II era on a train, and she locks eyes with like I don't know if it was a soldier or what, but then the egg is released into the fallopian tubes. Like it's both very like
it
prosy, but also
it technically
clinical.
fulfills the assignment. And it's
see me.
Yeah, and it just does such a great job of illustrating the different people that Katie and Sam are, because I think that fundamental difference is a big part of the themes of Gone Home, where Katie is the kind of person that can just kind of up and leave for a year, and Sam is the person that has to be like down and like in the dirt for the year and like just dealing with everything.
Well, she's like she's
aloof. She's an aloof kind of sister.
Yeah, and like there's great stuff like the fact that she processes her life through her fiction. So you can find, she has this character that she like Captain Allegra, and Captain Allegra's first mate, and there's such a great like evolution of her understanding. Like you can find like differently written versions, and then there's like the moment where it's clear that the first mate and Allegra have some kind of thing, but then like in one story like the first mate becomes a woman, and it's just this moment of like
it clicks for her in the context of what she does.
Into one of the side rooms, you open up, you find like a sewing machine, and it's like all right, and then you go over and you open up the armoire, and there's a pirate costume hanging there, and there's a note taped to the other side, and it's like the left side is you, right side is me. So it's, Sam as Captain Allegra and Lonnie is her first mate.
Yeah.
It's a great game.
Yeah, I mean, that's it, right?
There's so much care in every single piece of it.
Right, that's basically like...
That's what you need. To make a game that resonates, I think, with people as an artistic statement, you just gotta care about it.
Well, I mean...
And then be good at it, too.
Yeah, it's complicated. It's not that easy. If it was that easy, anyone would do it. But, like, the fact that the world exists not just to convey information, but to convey like personality and care. Like someone loved these characters as they were making them.
The notes that you find between like that they passed in school, the two creators, they're actually like handwritten notes. Like I think they're married or something. So like the wife would write Sam and then just pass the note off to her husband, him not knowing exactly what it was going to be about. So, like, they're, like, writing these notes as if, they really were teenagers in high school, doodling in the margins.
And it's just not something that I think you can do with, like, a larger studio where you have, like, maybe people from literally different continents that are trying to work on this product. It's just, it's something that you need to have, like, a small group of people to be able to hone in on that kind of personality, I feel like.
There's another little thing that I found in the commentary that like just tickled me. When you first go into the house, next to the phone there's a note from Mom saying, Daniel from the old neighborhood called, call him back. Neighborhood is spelled with a U. They noticed this during, writing that like, oh shit.
Yeah.
If she's American, she's not going to write it with a U. So you go into the basement. It's around the time where you find, the room where, Lonnie and Sam did the do or whatever. And
did the do.
Yeah, and you open a folder and Katie's like, oh, hey, this must be Mom's immigration papers.
Yeah, she's Canadian American.
Yeah, no. And then you hit the commentary thing and the guy is talking about how they like realized, oh, fuck, there's a U. Like, what are we going to do? And then he does, and he makes up this certificate of citizenship, and he's like, bug fixed, mom is Canadian.
That's good.
Yeah. Definitely play Gone Home.
Anyway, side note, I do think that Prey has moments of Gone Homeness. I would say that that's like a AAA thing that like.
Oh yeah. Yeah. No, I mean I don't mean to say that it's not possible, but
it's harder to achieve.
Right.
When you're not constrained by a publisher and you're publishing an indie game, it's a lot easier to make it a labor of love rather than, oh shit, we have a deadline and we have standards to live up to.
Yeah. Is there like anything else important we should cover?
We didn't really talk about the music, but the music is so good.
Oh my god, yes. Like it's just like
not just even the in-game like soundtrack, but also the punk tapes as a punk.
Yeah. You find the cassette. You find the cassette tapes like scattered around the house.
Heavens to Betsy,
and then you have to find
cassette players. Play them.
God, it's so like I can't even remember the word for cassette sometimes.
Yeah,
it's not even just that. Like you can find a bunch of music throughout the house, and it's very clearly like demarcated into people's tastes. Mm-hmm. Like you can find, I think it's a CD of like of big band stuff that's very clearly...
it's a vinyl.
Yeah, that's right. And it's very clearly Terrence's. It's also found in his study, but like...
With his bar.
Yeah. And there's, stuff like the fact that the house is like very clearly divided up into... Like each room has the mark of who spends the most time in it. And like... It's crazy that this game is real.
Yeah.
Which was almost sad because like it's very obvious that each room belongs to someone, and then you find when you go upstairs you find the note like, hey, mom and dad didn't have time to fix up the guest room, but this is where you can stay.
Yeah, and that absence is communicating.
And then you open the door and it's just like a bed, whole bunch of boxes. You can actually skip a whole portion of the game by going into the closet, looking up, pressing a button, and you go straight to the basement.
Yeah.
So, speedrun strats.
Yeah.
Well, the speedrun strats just go right for the...
While we're recording this, to really put a stamp on it, SGDQ is running right now.
Yeah, I was going to say, so somebody out there.
Yeah. Where's my 1 minute Gone Home speedrun?
Give me a controller. I'll do it. I'll do it right now.
We have the technology.
So anything else we should cover?
Voice acting is also great, which we talked a little bit about.
The voice acting is amazing.
Music's great. Level design's great.
Question, are we going to play Gone Home in PSVR?
I would absolutely play Gone Home. Like I said, I play it like once every year, and every year it just like washes over me again how good of an experience
Obviously, it's not fully VR, but the theater mode is pretty dope. Just saying.
Is it compatible? Is that... I don't know.
You can play anything in theater mode. If you really wanted to, you could hook up the Wii U to the like HDMI input and play Breath of the Wild.
I'm not going to play Breath of the Wild.
We're going to do... I swear to God, we're going to do Breath of the Wild on this podcast. You mark my words.
I
just had to give Steven his Switch back after I burned out like 3 months ago playing 5 days straight of Zelda, and I never beat the game.
That's me with Gone Home.
All right.
Just for a week.
Yeah. We gotta pull it back in. So
I mean, I don't have anything else to add.
Yeah, it's a great game. Play it. It's filled with kindness. That's important.
Yeah.
So that's gonna do it for us.
So check us out next week, where we're gonna be discussing Raptor Disaster 2. It's a classic. It's an old one.
Also survival horror.
Yeah, just raptors, man.
You know what's fucked up about this bit is that we say next week, but we're like
we're every other week.
We're every other week,
and we never follow through on our promises either.
Anyway, Raptor Disaster 2. Can't wait to talk about it.
Yeah.
Way too long. Something or other.
Till next time. Catchphrase to come later.
Work in progress.
Yeah.
Under construction.
Press F to discuss.
This has been Press F to discuss, talking about Gone Home. Bye.
Wow.
Okay.